Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. We're not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Right now. Just want to share my experience I had recently. The situation with a bird. Matter of fact, if you follow me on Instagram, you know, I recently posted being at Southern Homecoming, Southern University in Baton Rouge. For those of y'all who may not know, but I went to the homecoming, and I knew what time it was, like or what moment it was. I knew that it was for me to transmute some old energies, and to make peace with some old aspects of myself, and again, and be unjudgmental towards that aspect. Because again, that's the main things is being, being unjudgmental and being at peace with these certain older aspects of ourselves. But basically, like as the day was kind of beginning to start, we coming out of the student union, and it had this bird, just chilling, and he wasn't moving for nothing. Like people passing. And so I'm like, oh shit, he that chill. So I kind of go up to him, and he let me rub his stomach a little bit. And then after I rubbed his stomach, he kind of moved around and flew away. And again, I got the video on my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram. So with that, I knew it was some type of omen, because everything, like every single thing that we deal with within this, quote unquote physical reality, this illusionary reality, and again, an illusion because it has the illusion of us being separate when everything is really interconnected, but we have that, and again, not placing negative connotations on words, because when I say illusion, I could feel some people like, oh yeah, they illusion, oh that shit bad, oh that shit evil. Like no, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's not for us to not let our heart weigh heavier than a feather about the situation. Is to be, knowledgeable about it, so we could know how to move within this lifetime and carry out our soul purpose, because we asked to deal with these, unique experiences, basically, again, the no thing, that primordial source on a human experience, but again, everything is a sign and symbol within this realm, because again, it mimics the astral planes and the dreaming aspect. When we quote unquote go to sleep and dream, and we tapping into those realms or in the astral planes, those realms vibrate at a higher frequency, and hence why, we'll catch certain little insights, like our clairvoyant abilities, where we catch these premonitions before things happen, is because it done, in essence, it done already happened, and it's vibrating at a higher frequency, and we are catching it later within this realm of reality, And again, go check out my video. Well, if you're a patron on my Patreon page, I have 2 videos I did recently. Well, it's like one whole video, but it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes, is speaking on the, the aspect of free will. What's really going on with the aspect of free will and our destiny. Do we really have a choice and whatnot? But I get into that on there. Now, with any of these things, so I saw that bird at Southern, live bird, allowed for me to pet it and everything. Then I come later, like I want to say 2 days later, I'm going to this job. Matter of fact, that I'd already had an interview for this little job, and for one, just to get into the detail of the story too, realizing I was in a wishful thinking attitude about it, not trusting my guidance, because my inner guidance was letting me know, hey, these people gonna call you when you're hired, you know what I'm saying? But me on some, you know, probably that lack mind frame of like, oh man, I just gotta try to get a job right now. Just try to get a job so I could, you know, make sure I get a crib. You know, that aspect was over, you know, and I ain't even say over drowning, because again, I heard that little inner voice tell me, bro, you know, they ain't call you yet, you don't have to go. But I pushed past it and just allowed to take action from the aspect of, you know, the, you could say fear of like, you know, again, of like wanting something right now in that moment to sustain myself. So I went up there, you know, and the person, the hiring person was like, oh no, you know, we're gonna call you, you know, when we're ready, you know what I'm saying? So in so many words, like, shit, you know, you here for nothing, you know what I'm saying? You could go back home, we'll call you when you're ready. So I'm like, all right, shit, fuck it. So from that aspect, you know, again, and again, I'm sharing my story because it allows for you to get insight, because either you may have a similar story or you'll get to see how to, you know, look at things within your realm in reality and see how your higher self speaks to you through certain situations playing out. You know, again, all for self mastery, all for getting to understand our soul purpose a little bit better. Because again, these things happen because, like, again, it wasn't in that moment. That wasn't a part of my destiny or my soul purpose to, you know, to have that job in that moment. And if it is, I get that phone call. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't have to like try to, well, let me just go up there. You know what I'm saying? And again, because that also is lined up with that hoping aspect. Like, you know, I hope, you know, you could call it, oh man, I trust that they on, but for the most part, that's that egoic mind, that aspect of uh, being fearful, and the aspect of like, you know, abundance. Like, oh man, I need to go here, and hopefully they'll tell me it's me and it's time for me to work. Excuse me. And drinking a lot of water and on this parasite detox. But again, so after that situation, you know, I leave out of place, and just so happened, my queen was sitting there waiting because she knew what time it was too. Again, like we do that a lot. Where, you know, one of us going through a certain little lesson, and we learning how to deal with this too. You know, because sometimes it's meant for us to probably say, well, hey, babe, you know, maybe you might be pushing it in this area. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times too, we see that you just gotta let a person go through it without really even saying nothing, you know, for a person to really see that, hey, their inner guidance told them this in the first place already, you know. Because I know with myself, like, I have that energy of, like, I'll listen to people, but a lot of times if I feel that it's my inner guidance that's speaking to me, you know, first and foremost, and I'm not trying to hear nothing outside of me, you know, and that's where things could get eluded, because I'm thinking this is, and again, for the most part, knowing like, yeah, I'm kind of being on some wishful thinking vibes, you know, because there was also that aspect of feeling like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna manifest things through wishful thinking, you know, but a lot of times, a lot of wishful thinking is not aligned with our higher purpose and our higher self, so that's why those things don't align, you know, and that's how we get confused by calling these things, matter of fact, and I think I wrote that down. Like calling these things our, you know, like the wishful thinking sometimes aligns with our inner knowing. So because just like rolling the dice, like, yeah, sometimes your little wishful thinking will align with your inner knowing, you know. But when you get in the habitual nature of feeling like, you know, like, oh yeah, my wishful thinking is what's lining things up, not realizing like, no, it's about your inner knowing, not the wishful thinking aspect. And since there's some belief in the wishful thinking, you could fall into that illusion of feeling like the wishful thinking is what led you to the alignment, when it's really the inner guidance. You know what I'm saying? So again, with that aspect, but back into the story. So she's sitting out there waiting for me, and I just caught the vibe, like, you know what? I'ma just go on my own little journey. Sure, you could take it back by the spot. I'ma I'ma walk around this little area and probably see what other little, quote unquote jobs they got, and then probably, end up going to a coffee shop and working, whatever. So it's like cool. So I'm walking down a path down a gravel road, and all of a sudden I see a dead bird that looks like the one that I petted at the at Southern Homecoming. And then as I see the dead bird, right by it is a dollar, laying on the ground, a dollar right by the dead bird. So I'm like, oh shit, got a little dollar, you know, and now to get in, and if I didn't say this already, going back to dealing with these little, uh, you know, quote unquote symbols and sigil, or should I say symbols, are little insights within this physical aspect again, because this realm operates like a dream as well. Like every single thing is some type of sign and some type of language, and it's your soul speaking to you in some way, form, or fashion. It's your higher self. For whatever you don't hear within your being, you know what I'm saying, you'll get signs of certain things trying to show you something externally. You know what I'm saying as well. It's like like say for instance, your inner guidance probably told you all the time, don't wear sandals when you go play basketball, and you just never listen. Like you let some subconscious programming of like, let's just say somebody else told you, oh yeah, bro, you could play basketball and whatever you want, and you should do it how where you letting that program override you. Well, again, your inner guidance say, hey, don't wear sandals when you're playing basketball. And almost every time, so since you ain't listening to that inner voice, every time you go to play basketball now, again, now externally, when you go to play basketball, your sandals always coming loose, or you almost spraining your ankle every time, or somebody stepping on your feet, or, something of that nature. And until you realize, like, all right, shit, maybe I should wear some shoes, you know what I'm saying? But again, it gets to that point because we've been extremely ignoring the inner voice and inner guidance aspect. So, and that's what I was going to say too with a lot of these dream aspects. Make sure you always ask your inner guidance first and foremost. Like, cause that's what I did before I even researched a little bit on like the sign of a bird and what, and a dead bird, which I had an idea of it again, and then I asked my inner gnosis, and like part of what came up, cause again I kind of journaled it out. I was like, I feel I was being too extreme on trying to get insight or get that bird's eye view. Cause another thing too, death is about transformation. You know, what is the death of the caterpillar? Is the birth of the butterfly. You know what I'm saying? And the death aspect, and hence why we talk about Pluto. Pluto depicted as the Grim Reaper, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the underworld because of its connection with deep transformation. And basically deep transformation is like when you have these little debts, you know what I'm saying, like again, killing parts of our human ego, our identity, piece by piece. That little part of our human ego that only wants to stay in a comfort zone and wants to hold on to this temporary realm. That aspect of our ego is unbeneficial to our highest good and our soul growth. And again, it's not about killing all the ego. That's why I said that aspect of the ego, because there is some healthy aspect of your ego in order for you to even play out this role in this movie, or within this lifetime, this movie, whatever you want to call it. A lot of times I like to say movie. You're playing out this act in this movie, so you it's gonna take a bodysuit. And when you get hungry, you know what I'm saying, you need enough of an ego to know, hey, instead of sticking a spoon of food in somebody else's mouth, I'm gonna stick it in my mouth. Like again, I got an ego enough to know that, again, it is not selfish. Again, this is part of the individual experience, to where when I'm thirsty, I'm not gonna take this water and go pour it in the grass and like, ooh, that tastes good. Ooh, that's replenishing my body. No, like I got this unique bodysuit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to drink the water into this being. You know what I'm saying? So that's a healthy aspect of the ego. You know, but again, when I asked, I was like, my inner guidance was like, you probably not probably being too extreme at trying to get insight. You know what I'm saying? Holding on too tightly instead of trusting the flow. Like always trying to, and how can I say? Well, basically just not trusting the flow. You know, because it was another aspect to the bird, but that was again one of the first things that came to me was again being too extreme on trying to get insight about things, or more so just being too extreme on the aspect of like trying to control aspects, because again a bird is free. A bird represents freedom, flight. It also represents that again that's why they use the eye of Horus or that hawk's eye. Horus represented by a hawk because that connected to your pineal and that seeing eye. And again, uh, the heart, I would say, is that true inner seeing is through that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Through what you felt, because like regardless of and I speak on that like bringing the intuitive centers together, like your gut feeling, your heart, and your thought intuitive realm. So your pineal, your heart, and your gut slash like solar plexus sacral. But the heart being in the middle, because it's that middle ground, that middle space. So I felt within me, what I'm saying, like, bro, I shouldn't even get up and go to this place, what I'm saying, like, they ain't called me, they probably ain't hired me, but that wishful thinking aspect, like, oh yeah, let's get up and go, what I'm saying. So again, the bird connected with freedom, and also it deals with that bridge between earth and air. So that bridge between, like, again, like our earthly experience, what I'm saying, and how we do things on a practical level, being physical. When you think about earth is, sturdy, planting things in the earth, it's kind of represent that feminine energy as well, because you plant seeds into the fertile soil, just like a seed, sperm gets planted into the fertile soil of a woman on a physical level, what we call sex, what I'm saying. But it represents that earthy aspect, and then the air element, because again it goes from being on a tree on earth, and then it could also fly in that air element, and the air element dealing with the thoughts, the words, and could almost say somewhat the ethers as well. Now also paying attention to the color of the bird, the bird was brown, so it also giving the omens to the connection with, again, being earthy, grounded, and dealing with the root chakra, what I'm saying. So it was a aspect of me detaching from worldly concern and trusting, more, but being more trustworthy in that connection. And again, I saw the aspect of like the bird that I touched at Southern, what I'm saying, was like connecting with that old aspect of myself, like being at peace with, like almost like that last little touch, what I'm saying, like again within the representation, not to say, oh, I never touch a bird again. That bird again was just a representation of what was going on in that moment, but like touching that bird represented like like touching that old aspect of myself that want to hold on to partying and doing things like going to homecoming, where I know this is things that I'm not gonna be doing all the time anymore. What I'm saying, like I'm moving on into doing things in a different manner, and it's more so about me, like, cause I'ma still have fun, but it won't a lot of times be in that type of setting. What I'm saying, so you know it was like the death to that aspect. But again, the living bird represented it being alive in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And me connecting with it in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And again, when we see death, death is about transformation. You know, as we're going through the Scorpio season, and right now the veil is very, very thin. You know, so it's you know, we're again like that, like higher self, you know, and all the past lives and the multi-dimensional aspects of ourself are all one in this moment more clearly now. Again, like the veil is thin or basically not even there, you know, like it's, you know, like like you don't even really have to take shrooms or DMT at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just kind of keep yourself in a place of being consciously aware and understanding that you have the ability to tap into this, you're going to see and feel all this at every moment, you know. And also, in connection with birds, I got led to another aspect of what it representing endings and beginnings, and the importance of not rushing or flapping furiously just to get to our destination. You know, so it represents endings and beginnings. And so that dead bird was right by a dollar, and what I caught with that was it was the death of whatever old aspect within me would constrict me from abundance, you know, like from my flow of abundance. You know, matter of fact, not too long after that, you know, things started popping on the jewelry level again. So I get more, you know, jewelry. Things start to flow with more of an ease. So again, represent that end and beginning, and had a dollar right by. Because again, the universe, like I'm, you know, a higher self, you know, aka the universe, you know, the part of the universe that's experiencing this realm through you, your inner source, you know, speaks to you in a way where it's like I'm gonna make sure, you know, you could get this insight, you know, the best way possible. You know, because another thing too is like it comes to us in the best way possible. Because say for instance, if you got something against, you know, listening to a man, then the information gonna come through a woman. If you got something against getting the information from a woman, the information gonna come through a man. If you got something against listening to somebody older than you, it's gonna come through somebody younger than you, and vice versa. You know, whatever, like it's gonna find the path of least resistance to make it to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what a lot of people deal with as well, you know, including myself on my growth. You know, it's like, you know, seeing how the egoic mind probably didn't want to hear the message from this aspect, so I had to hear it from another aspect, you know. And that's, again, more so if you're not catching the voice within side. If you're not catching the voice inside, then it turns into something external. But again, bird represent endings and beginnings, and the importance of not rushing. You know, not trying to hurry up and flap your wings just to get to your destination. You know, it's trusting that you'll make it to your destination. You know, and again, this meaning has significance because the dead bird obviously isn't moving fast. You know, that dead bird also was representing, you know, again, transformation, but also shit, the dead bird is like, you know, it's still, you know what I'm saying? It ain't going nowhere. But it was just like that partial aspect of it not moving was, you know, like also, again, like not moving fast for obvious reasons, you know, and the bird I touched was just chilling as well, you know what I'm saying? Like that bird I touched, again, that on that video I got on Instagram, at Southern Homecoming, it was just chilling as well, and then it kind of moved off, but, you know, it was just chilling. Not all, you know, trying to go everywhere, you know. And also that bird had a lot of trust in its environment because it's sitting at a game, you know. It wasn't in the midst of a lot of people, but, you know, people was kind of back and forth in and out of the union in a place where a lot of people, you know, drinking and stuff like this, you know what I'm saying? But it was just chilling, like, you know, just like literally sitting there, you know, so that's an aspect of trust that was, you know, speaking out to me. Now, also animals in general, you know, animals are, you know, they move off of instinct aka intuition, without interference from ego. Like an animal doesn't have an ego. Like a squirrel ain't got no egoic mind or like nothing it was taught to be like, oh, a squirrel, like I gotta be a rock star, or I gotta go and take care of this business plan, or I gotta go and or I dislike this squirrel, so I'm gonna not do like it doesn't have like a egoic mind interference. It goes with its instinct or intuition, like what it feels. And then also animal represents being connected to nature. So just in general, when dealing with animals, no matter whether it's a bird, a rabbit, rabbits may point to fertility. The squirrels point to like making sure you're like being childlike, and also like we're dealing with abundance, like making sure like you're saving things up. Like a squirrels make sure they save up for the winter time. You know, so they could have something to eat later, because it's a marathon and not a 100-yard dash. So it's different little signs within the animals, but an animal in general speaks to a connection with nature and a connection with your instinct or intuition. you know. And again, in my notes, I wrote live bird at SUBR homecoming game, and then the dead bird after going to a job. And basically, again, it was telling me also to not worry about the job. Whatever is right will come with ease. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I don't have to use no wishful thinking and try to, like, oh, let me try to go here. Like, like, nah, it'll flow as it should. Don't worry about trying to force anything. And whatever it is will bring about change within the you know whatever. Oh, and again, I said that, like, with the dead bird being by $1, whatever it is that, again, that transform within me is gonna allow for things to change within the realm of finances. Hence why that dollar was sitting right there, like it's like here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you stepping in. And again, all this comes from just constantly, again, having that inner dialogue, like asking yourself questions and building up a strength in connection with your inner guidance. Because even when I do consultations, I let people know, like, man, technically, I want to have such a good consultation with you that I never hear from you again. Like, I'm not, again, it's not trying to play a doctor and, give you a little bit of medicine that got some side effects, or that ain't gonna really help you, so you could be back in my face and I could make more money off of you in that sense. Now, of course, like, with this aspect, if you may not catch it, again, as part of your growth or whatever, you may end up, connecting back with me to get some insight. But for the most part, the end game is for you to get so connected with your inner being that, you know what I'm saying, that you don't even feel the need to reach out for a consultation anymore, because you have grown stronger with your inner guidance system. So that's one of the things as well. But so again, any dead animal is gonna, most cases, represent a transformation within. Like, it's some aspect of yourself that may have, quote unquote, died. But again, not looking at it as, oh, something died. Because on a bigger scale, we don't technically die. We transition through different, through different dimensions, different realities in that sense of it. But, for lack of a better word, we do use the word death. Because again, the death of the caterpillar is the birth of the butterfly. That transformation, where really, again, did the being really die? No. It was a caterpillar. It had a different bodysuit, and then it transitioned into a bodysuit with wings. Same consciousness, it just moves a little different. You know what I'm saying? Due to the transformation. It no longer has to crawl everywhere and has a bunch of legs. Now it's a butterfly. And it could, fly instead of have to walk everywhere. So again, speaking to bridging that gap, the bird bridging the gap between the earth and the air aspect, and also telling me I should be more practical and grounded, be more sturdy and trustworthy, like have a strong foundation in my connection with my inner source and inner being, and trust more, what I'm saying, and trust in the nature of an animal, what I'm saying, that trust, what's going on without trying to forcefully do things. And again, the air element, being like, because the negative aspect of the air is like, again, being all in your thoughts and using your words in a way that's harmful to you, because the words is the sword, what I'm saying, hence why it's represented like the swords in the tarot represents, the air element. And air, when we talk, air coming out, the words, the swords. So it's also speaking to making sure I'm not, like using my words against myself, and also making sure that my thoughts is not, where I'm not following my egoic mind thoughts and being more aligned with, the of being clear, so that I could, clearly feel and hear that inner guidance come through, so I could fly like a bird. I don't have to just be trying to fly everywhere. It's like, be calm, what I'm saying, and you'll get that feeling when to, like, just like when you see a bunch of birds chilling, and then all of a sudden, it seemed like not one of them move first. It's like they all move at like they all chilling. It could be like a group of, let's just say, like 50 or 40 birds, and all of a sudden they all just dart off in this direction. You know what I'm saying? Like they move like and that's another thing that's said to be too, with a lot of like animals that may move like in big groups, that like technically they almost like one big soul, like, and hence why they move so fluently together in that sense of it. And just another aspect to add on to that, so after I saw the dead bird and found the dollar, I went to the mall, and where I would use it, like, just, all right, let me spend some money because I got it, you know what I'm saying? I didn't spend that, I didn't spend those funds, and therefore, that was also another transformation, because usually it ain't nothing wrong with, spending funds on yourself in that sense of it, but I knew in that moment that was a repetitious aspect of me going down, going into a lesson loop that's not beneficial to my highest good, and I was just gonna hurry up and buy anything, in that moment, when I knew, like, bro, nah, just wait, you about to go, get some coffin, and you want to get some more beads, later, so just hold up, you know what I'm saying, and now, and again, like, avoiding the usual urge to spontaneously spend money, again, because that bird, was letting me know, like, the death to that old aspect of my connection with, abundance, especially speaking to finances, hence again why the dollar was sitting right there by the dead bird, so that's all that coming together. And then a little bit later in the day, I'm sitting in the grass by LSU, and a bee landed on my hand, and it landed on the little mason ring I wear, and I'm not a mason in the sense of, like, hey, I'm a part of that group. I'm just have the understanding about all the different occult and esoteric aspects of cult, that which is hidden, an esoteric inner meaning, like the inner meanings of things. I'm in alignment with that knowledge, and and applying it. So that's, I'm a Mason before a Mason. Free my son. Free Mason. Free my son. Free mama son. But the bee landed on the ring, and the symbol for the Mason thing is the compass and the square. Got the square at the bottom, which is to map out straight lines, and then the compass, the little compass thing where it got the point on one side and the pencil on the other side where you could draw circles with it. Matter of fact, because you'll be able to draw the flower of life, with and that's the connection too, like the flower of life, the feminine aspect, the curves, the circles with the compass, and then the square for the straight lines, like the masculine, like Metatron's cube, it's mostly straight lines, the masculine and feminine aspect of the sacred geometry. Because Metatron's cube embodies like every shape that you could make dealing with straight lines, and also the flower of life deals with every shape you could make. I mean, technically, with straight lines as well too, because it's just using curves, but still has the same connection. But yeah, that bee landing on my ring was telling me, hey, you're on point. You just being right now, because I had my feet in the ground, just laying out there again, like talking to myself. Like asking myself, all right, why this happened earlier? Well, what's lining up, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like again, having that inner dialogue. And that B let me know, hey, I'm being balanced. Not only I'm being, but being balanced, because the compass and square can also represent the balance between the feminine and masculine energies, the negative and positive. Again, everything I always talk back to walking that middle pathway, being in the middle between Joachim and Boaz, that's what they call the two pillars of Solomon's temple, in connection with becoming a Mason. They got the checker floor, the black and white floor that represents, the positive, negative, the yin and yang, and again, masculine and feminine aspect. In the Solomon's temple is this, where you got your temples right here, but it's also your whole temple, your bodysuit, you know what I'm saying? So it goes back to that. But again, that was also a little sign, and also my connection to, bees represent royalty as well, so like being a sovereign soul, in essence, like a royal energy coming from that primordial essence from the queen bee, you know what I'm saying, that primordial source, you know what I'm saying, that darkness, from the darkness let there be light on all levels, you know what I'm saying. And again, things cycle, so yeah, of course, from darkness to light, and then you could go from light into darkness again, but like when we're talking about the primordial source of things, it's from that darkness to the light, But that was basically it. And again, remembering that, trust your inner guidance. If you have some of these signs and symbols pop up to you within your day, within your day to day, ask your inner guidance system first and foremost. Like, what does this mean? Why that dog got hit in front of me as it was crossing the street. Dogs represent friendship and being trustworthy, and loyal. So if you see a dog get hit by a car, it could be like, the death to some loyalty that you were having to a certain energy that wasn't beneficial to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it could mean more than just that, because you could have some type of connection with an actual dog in the moment, and it's a sign dealing with an actual dog, but which points to something deeper. But you know what I'm saying? It's whatever resonates in your universe. That's another thing with dream symbols and stuff like this. Our higher self talks to us in the language that we best understand. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, they do have a broad, like there's things we could understand from that aspect of, from a broad level, like, like in most cases, if you're dreaming about a house represents your body, you know what I'm saying. So and the kitchen will represent your stomach area. So if you're dreaming about a house, and in that house has got a nasty kitchen, It's because it's probably speaking to your digestive system being off, or a premonition of you eating unhealthy in the future, or you have been eating unhealthy in the moment, or just, there's still some trash in your digestive system, whatever the case may be. That's a general aspect, but it's uniquely different to all of us, and what we're uniquely experiencing in our moment to moment. And again, dealing with our own inner guidance and subconscious mind, and how it speaks to us, because it speaks to us in the path of least resistance. And what may be a message to me might not seem the same to the next person. Another person could interpret it different. you know. Okay. That's basically it. Again, the bird aspect, represent being free, having that bird's eye view. Animals in general, connection to nature, and being, more in a connection with your instinct or intuition. You know, and also birds. I just caught this as I was about to. Birds, make sure they build a nest. You know what I'm saying? For wherever they staying at, they make sure they got a nest in some way, form, or fashion. You know what I'm saying? So a bird would also be connected to, making sure you got a place to stay in somewhere, form, or fashion. So again, that was another message that was being spoken to me. Like, hey, just trust. You know, and you'll have this abundance flow, and this abundance flow allow for you to have your own nest. Basically. But that's basically it. Peace, peace. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Peace, peace.